He really does have that smolder, doesn't he?
I didn't want to have to do this. Here comes the smolder.
I am not good at making things very neat. Just a guy with multiple screen masks. That doesn't raise any suspicions whatsoever. Hey, what's up? In this video, I'm going to show you how you could take a cheap ghost face mask that you can find at pretty much any Halloween store. Trust me, there are thousands of these everywhere. And with a few very easy steps, turn it into the mask used in Scream 6. You know, the more I look at it, the more I realize it's just a dirty, beaten up, battle damaged mask, and that is right up my alley because I am not good at making things very neat. If you haven't noticed already, I'm pretty good at messing things up, so this is right up our alley. He really does have that smolder, doesn't he? Anyway, let's get it. So it's October, which means I'm doing a bunch of, oh man, I have those in my hand. So obviously it's October, which means I'm doing a bunch of different videos in kind of essence of Halloween, most of them being Halloween themed. At this point, I probably have already posted my Jason video on Friday the 13th. If you haven't seen that, I show you how to take a cheap Jason mask and turn it into something like this using a few easy steps. Also at the beginning of the month, I showed you how to take a cheap Nerf gun with very cheap supplies and turn it into a realistic prop. Following that same suit of those videos, I'm going to do the same thing, taking this pristine classic ghost face mask and turning it into the dirty battle damaged one that we see in Scream 6. So again, like I said, looking at this mask, it looks like it's going to be a very simple and very cheap build. All I'm going to need to do is really battle damage it and weather it up, and that's it, really. Or you could just buy the Scream 6 mask. I'm sure those are for sale, but that's not fun. In the process of getting this mask, I also got two other masks, but they're different material. These ones are like this weird flexy rubber that I can't really paint on. This one is a nice hard plastic. So this is the one I'm going to be repainting, but I also managed to have two other Scream masks I can't repaint, so I don't know why I brought that up. I'm just a man with multiple masks, just a guy with multiple Scream masks. That doesn't raise any suspicions whatsoever. Okay, so like I said before, I have three of these masks, but they're not the same mask. I first ordered this mask online for like 10 bucks, thinking that it was a hard plastic mask. It was not. When it showed up, it was very flimsy. It was very rubbery, and that's not going to be easy to paint on. You can see I tried sanding it away to get a good paint job on it, but it was not going to work. The paint was not going to stick to it whatsoever and was not going to be very useful. So I bought another mask from another vendor online, which was this one. And it turned out to be the exact same mask. If you're wondering why this has the headscarf and this one doesn't, it's because I ripped this off to use the headscarf for my Jason eyepiece. That's how resourceful I am, is I break other things in order to use them for pieces. Anyway, the only way for me to get this hard plastic mask, the one that will actually take the paint and adhere it on, was to get an entire costume, which evidently ended up being cheaper than both of these masks. So, yeah, your boy's already kind of broke, and now I have an extra Scream mask I can't use, an extra Scream mask I can use, and one that I'm about to basically destroy. That shows how resourceful I am with my money. Anyway, this is going to be an incredibly simple process that pretty much anybody can do at home. It looks like the mask is overall stained. In order to get that effect, we're going to be using black shoe polish, which is my favorite method for weathering. So we're going to use black shoe polish to get that stained effect. The mask also has several cracks and scuffs in it. In order to get that effect, we're going to be using a mixture of a bunch of different sandpaper, X-Acto blades, and Stanley knives. And just because I have access to it, I'm going to be using a Dremel with a cutting bit. If you don't have a Dremel with a cutting bit, no worries at all. You don't need one. You can absolutely accomplish everything with just a Stanley knife and X-Acto blade. First step before we do anything is to give it a quick sand. As you can see, it has a bit of shine to it. We want to get rid of that shine. If you watched the Nerf gun video, you know why. It's because anything that has kind of that shiny plastic to it isn't going to take paint super well. Wow, I just kind of smeared it. That sucks. I could go about this two ways. I could obviously go completely random and just battle damage the shit out of it. Overall, I am going to kind of freestyle it, but I do want to make sure I'm getting some sort of screen accuracy to the actual mask as best I can. So when you reach this step, if you want to get the screen accuracy, follow along. If you don't, just skip ahead to when we start battle damaging. that is a substantial amount of damage. I don't know how much of that you can see, but I have genuinely this mask up pretty hard. That sounded wrong. I've messed this mask up. That's what we want to go for. However, we won't be able to see how effective it is until we hit it with the shoe polish. Next step, it's going to get very dirty, and it's going to be kind of a leap of faith kind of step where we're going to put all of that shoe polish on and just see what happens. So the process we're going to go through is using our shoe polish, putting it in a cup, and then painting it on, and then taking a paper towel and dabbing it back off. You know, I think it would be smarter to use a bigger brush. I'm going to use the bigger brush, even though this is my graphite brush. Yeah, I should have thought this through. Which brush am I going to use? You know what? I'll figure it out. I think I'm going to use the bigger one, but I'm still going to use that same method. That's the last of my shoe polish, so that better be enough. I'm also going to take some brown acrylic and water it down and mix it in there, just very subtly because I know the mask has a bit of a brownish hue to it, and I want to apply that in there. It looks like poop. Ew. Oh, this is going to look like some poopy water. That's nice. I'm going to put the paint next to it so that people know that it's paint water. Dude, that looks so cool. All right, that's our first layer. I'm gonna hit it with a couple more layers to really soak it in. Little update. The shoe polish and acrylic paint isn't working ideally the way I wanted it to. Did a good job of staining the mask, but I think I want to push it a little bit farther. So I'm going to pull a bit of a risky move and try something new. I'm going to mix these acrylic paints with some water. I'm going to water them down just slightly and try weathering with that. What I was doing is just using the shoe polish. That seems to be a little bit too thin for what we're trying to do. So hopefully that'll give us a bit of a stronger wash over the entire mask. If not, I'm not opposed to how this looks, but I just want to see if I can push it a little bit farther. Alright, well, that worked. That was exactly what I wanted it to do, and I'm very happy with how that turned out. That was a complete shot in the dark. Glad I did the shoe polish method first because it seeped into the mask to give that layered effect, but I am very happy I came up with that acrylic paint method. That's cool. I do one or two more layers, but I don't want to push it too far because I think this is looking very promising. This is looking very much how I want it to. Next step I would say would be to take some sandpaper and sand off a little bit to kind of reveal the white a little bit to give the layered effect. But this is soaking wet with paint, so I'm gonna let it sit for like a while until it dries off. You don't want to work on something that is still freshly painted, so I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit, maybe hit it with a couple more layers, but when we come back we're gonna hit it with some sandpaper and take off some of that paint. While that's drying, I want to take a quick second to shout out my friends over at G Fuel Energy. G Fuel was nice enough to send out some of their horror themed flavors for me to show off to you guys, so make sure you go check out G Fuel, link in the description, to get some of those horror flavors yourself. They're limited time. Make sure you get them before they're gone forever. Not sponsored, by the way. I genuinely just enjoy G Fuel. Back to the video. And there we have it. That is our completed battle damage, worn and torn Scream 6 mask that we started off looking something a little bit more like this. He looks like he's melting. He looks so sad. I'm really glad I did not use the flexi one. All in all, this was honestly the easiest build I have ever done in my life. It wasn't even really a build. It was more like breaking something because I just had a lot of fun tearing it up, putting different scratches on it and painting over the entire thing over and over again, finding new methods that work. It was incredibly fun and it turned out a lot better than I thought it would, giving you an extra variation for a ghost face mask that you can very quickly do in like an afternoon if you don't want to wear the traditional one. As always, I'll leave the links to everything down below, down from the materials to the actual mask itself. I'll leave the link to the crappy mask too if you really want the flexi one, but he honestly looks like he's melting. Like he looks so sad. Again, big thank you to my friends at G Fuel for sending out those horror themed flavors. Like I said, I do genuinely enjoy and use G Fuel myself, so any chance I can to put somebody on it who's looking for an alternative energy drink, I got you. So for the month of October, we are 3 repaint videos down. We have done the Nerf gun, we have done the Jason mask, and we have done the Scream mask. But we're not done. We have one more repaint video coming up probably next week, and it is going to be probably even easier than this one. It is going to be the most simple video of all time that anybody can do to repaint a simple looking Colt M1911 blaster pistol into something that looks like a real prop you can use for a cosplay or movie. That one was legitimately like 2 steps, and the blaster itself was like $7. So it's the cheapest thing we've ever done, but I hope you watch it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe. Peace and love, do good things, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. Yeah, Spider-Man!